Welcome to Roscommon County Board of Commissioners Work Session, October 25th, 2023. First up is DHHS Board Member Reappointment. It says Jody Valentino. I'm going to present it. It's regarding Amy Schmidt. She served on DHHS board for 3 years. Her term's up, and I do have a letter that the board would like her term to be renewed for another 3 years. This will be in our business in 2 weeks. Any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
Does she work for the county now in some capacity?
Help me out, Michelle.
As a citizen at large then?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Number 2, clerk fees. Michelle Stevenson, please.
Good morning. So in, working on the budget as we do every year, and we look at fees that haven't been addressed or anything in a while or increased and where they are in comparison. So we were looking at some of the fees. Some fees in my office are set by statute that cannot be adjusted. However, there is works with some of those. We're trying to do some stuff legislatively to increase them because they haven't been increased since the early 1900s, I think. Maybe mid 1900s. I don't know. That's still a long time ago. Anyhow, so some of the items where we can increase some fees and help also with revenue for the general fund is a cremation permit. Currently, we charge $25. And in discussion with Commissioner Sensor, we are on the low end of that in comparison to other counties. So we're proposing that we increase that to $50. Do you know what a cremation permit is?
Arlene does.
Okay. Certified copies are currently, the first copy is $10 and each additional copy is $5. And we're proposing an increase of $15 for the first copy and then $10 for each additional copy. And currently there's a notary service that we provide throughout the county building. I think just about every department in the county building has a notary public in their department. And if they're providing notary services, which was something that we implemented a few years back, we're currently charging $5 for that notary service and we can charge $10. So we're proposing that we increase that fee to $10. I don't know if all of the departments are providing that service. I know my department does, and we don't charge for notary services if it's a document that they're filing in our office. So if they're coming in and they're filing a DBA or they're filing a deed or something to that effect, we do not charge for that. It's whenever they're coming in and needing signatures for a will, or they need a notary signature for yes, this is their transcript that they presented to us because they need it for some other reason outside of our building. So those are just some proposal fee changes that I'm presenting.
The notary fee.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that most of the time you don't charge for it? When are the times you charge for it?
We charge, so if somebody brings in their will or a trust or something like that, and they need to have their signatures notarized for that.
Can they have that done somewhere else before they bring it in?
Prepared, yes.
Yeah.
They have it prepared, and then, yeah, usually.
They have it prepared, notarized. They don't have to have our people notarize it.
Correct. That's just and oftentimes whenever that is happening it's people who are local, their attorneys prepared it for them, and their attorney isn't someone local, so they're sending it to them, and then they need to go someplace and have it notarized, so they'll come into us and have it notarized.
How many times is that done currently a year, for example?
I can't give you a number. I know
that just seems like a pretty hefty charge, $10 for a signature. I mean, I can understand the cremation. And you said since the early 1900s, this has been the same for the cremation?
No. I'm talking about the statute fees.
Oh, okay.
The statute fees are the early hundreds. No, the cremation fee when I came in, I think it was $10 if they were even charging for it. I think it was $10. It was $0. So when I came into office, it was $0. And
which was when?
2013. And then we implemented, it was either 10 or 15, I think it was $10, and then we upped it to 15, and then we upped it to 25. So
What are
this
other counties charging? You said we're lower than other counties. What are they charging?
50.
50 to 75?
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and this cremation money goes into the general fund, which,
It's just a permit. That's not to get cremated.
correct. That's the permit. So this money, in our mind, it kind of helps offset the expenses that we have for our medical examiner and for the unclaimed bodies, even though this doesn't even really touch what the county is paying for unclaimed bodies. I mean, I have 5 residents in my vault currently, and I believe I'm about to get a 6th. So, so the county does bear a cost for unclaimed people who deceased and their families won't claim them or don't claim them, or there's nobody around.
Right. And so we pay for that then.
Yes, and we pay for the
And
autopsy.
restore the bodies too.
Yep, and then you pay
What is
for
it?
the
Is
burial.
it like is there charges there to store? I'm
We don't
sorry,
have
I'm just
anybody to
curious.
charge.
What's that?
We don't have anybody to charge because nobody is claiming them. If somebody was coming to claim them, they
What
would
would
cover
it be?
things.
What would be the charge though?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have a storage fee for
That's what I
my
was
vault.
wondering. That's
Yeah,
what I was
no, I
wondering.
don't have a storage fee because if I charge the storage fee, all I would be doing is charging the county at this point.
But people that would claim them say the body was here for 2 weeks or something like that, and then they claim it. Does that happen that they claim them?
We have not had that since.
Never, okay, so that doesn't happen. Okay.
No, we've not had that. And I would imagine, I can't speak to it, but I would imagine that if they did decide to come and claim, they're going to be responsible for any of the fees that the county has incurred
Right.
for this body to the funeral home and the crematory and wherever else they've got fees outstanding.
Right, that's why I was wondering what it would be if they did.
Oh, I think that's hard to say because I think each funeral home is probably different depending on where they're.
I should ask Darlene, and I shouldn't be asking you this question. I'm just curious on how all that works.
Basically, when a body is unclaimed, the medical examiner will take over in the sense of he will sign the authorizations and things that need to be signed in order for the body to be cremated. They also will apply to DHS in order to get some reimbursement from the state of Michigan. The funeral home where I am at, we discount our cremation rates to the county, and then we wait for the money from the state, and then the county reimburses the rest. And then
It's basically a break even for what you guys do. We get the money back reimbursed.
then the body comes, or the cremains come up here, get stored in Michelle's vault until either a family member down the road comes to ask for them, whether it be an aunt, uncle, cousin, whomever, and or we're currently trying to get one of our local cemeteries to allow us to basically get a grave and place all sets of unclaimed into one.
Well, all the cremation remains.
Now, do we know the names of all the
Oh,
bodies?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
I have a question. How are the cremation permits structured? Who do we charge them to? And who do we not charge them to?
They're charged to everybody. It's the families that pay them
Families that,
of the deceased.
with an address in this county?
Any,
Anybody.
any death that occurs in Roscommon County,
That's what I'm asking.
any death that occurs in Roscommon County, how that works is if you want to be cremated, the medical examiner in the county in which the person passes away in has to approve the cremation, not in which they live but pass away. So anybody that passed away in Roscommon County, the medical examiner, if they're going to be cremated, has to approve that permit.
Okay,
And
so if a county resident passes away in Crawford County,
they're gonna pay Crawford County's permit
they're
fee.
gonna pay Crawford County, even though they're cremated in Roscommon County.
Any other discussion?
As a side note, what is the normal cost for a cremation today, not the permit?
It's all over the board, depends on the funeral homes.
there a range? Do you,
I would,
$500 to $2,000? I mean, something like,
it can go anywhere from about $1,700 up to about $3,300.
okay.
I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. We have 6 remains. Maybe we could get a township to donate some property. I hate to
That's
see.
what Darlene
Well,
and
what
the
I'd like
clerk
to
is
see
working
I hate
with.
to see all the remains put into one grave. Just preserve the humanity and sanctity of life. And
I like that.
that each person have their own, I
I can tell you this, townships are not gonna go for it. I've already asked.
okay, well, those are my thoughts that we ask again, because I think each individual, the dignity of life should be preserved. Each person deserves final resting place in their own. This is my thoughts. I understand more like the potter's field, that's when it came to my mind. But I think it's important for us to ask the townships that each person have their own burial spot, because down the road, somebody may want to be able to visit that grave site from a family member. I think they deserve the right to be able to honor their family member. That's my thoughts, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I support what Mark's saying. Anyway,
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 3, Home Lake Tourism Update. Teresa. Make sure your mic's on and please identify yourself. Thank you. Yes, where it's a green light. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa Actum. I'm the Executive Director of the Houghton Lake Area Tourism Bureau. Not everybody knows, but the Houghton Lake Area Tourism Bureau actually promotes all of Roscommon County to visitors, to bring visitors here from other areas. We're hoping to, we say, put heads in beds. So we're looking to bring visitors in, spend the night in Roscommon County. So that's basically what my job is. Here for a couple reasons. One is to give you a quick update. I know through the county commissioners, you gave a grant to the EDC, who in turn gave a grant to the Tourism Bureau to pay for a geo tour, which we established, and we are thrilled with the results. We have visitors from California, just had 2 from New York stop in at the office, Canada, Germany, southern states, all over the United States come and visit our county. So thank you for that. The other thing that the Houghton Lake Area Tourism Bureau is doing, a few years ago, I was talking with Don Sylvester, who is one of our board members, trying to figure out what we could do differently to bring people in. We have a lot of fishing, we have the lakes. How can we bring other people in to do other things? Because we don't want to overfish the lakes. And we got discussing the byway. Actually, it was Route 66 is what we were talking about. And we said, why can't we do something like that for M55? So that started the ball rolling. And in the last 3 years or so, we've been trying to figure out how to get a byway established. Just this year, they reopened, MDOT reopened and hired people who had retired in the last few years. And they are back to putting byways and designating byways through the state. So I'm here today to get your support to establish this byway. It would go from Manistee to Tawas, all the way through. It would allow all 6 counties to promote the byway, market it, bring people up, because they're going to want to travel the whole thing. So hopefully bring more visitors from other areas into our county. The designation, there's no cost to any of the communities that it's served. It'll receive funding through, I believe it gets it from MDOT or from the state of Michigan. and some federal monies. So they have a system in place where you request grants from them, and that'll pay for marketing materials and things like that. It does have a name. We have a committee of the 6 counties, MCOG, NEMCOG, I believe it's Northwest Michigan also. Those organizations are all involved with helping us to establish this. We call it the Coast to Coast on My-55. So that, and it is considered a recreational pure Michigan byway. That's the other tagline. Byways can be historical, recreational, aesthetic. There's like 4 categories that they have, but we determined recreational would be the best for 55. So the benefits of the designation, it will protect the regional attributes. So it'll protect the views, the scenic characteristics that we have. It'll encourage people to come and visit the area, travel that road, the economic growth that we are hoping that it will bring in visitors. And it provides a great marketing experience for the area. So some of the things, the recreation we have, it's not just the lakes and the trails. We've got golf courses. There's ballparks. There's Lakeland recreation. So anything from private businesses to state and national trails, the lakes, we're promoting it all. So I did forward a resolution of support, went through a few drafts, but hopefully that you guys, if you have any questions, and even though I presented it in the, I don't know if you got the one I mailed Monday. It is up to you guys if you want to change any of the wording or remove anything. It's up to you. We just would like your support for this. The way that it is structured in order to create the byway, MDOT does have they've got the timeline that you have to do. We need the support to be called a byway, and then we will make a management plan for it. So, and another group will be a volunteer group who creates the management plan and does the marketing.
Questions? Yes, Mark.
Great meeting last week, great donuts, had a good time. Would you consider, I'm not asking for any comments right now because I know you need to consider. The last paragraph says, be it further resolved that the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners hereby commits itself to enforce within its jurisdiction the management plan. Would you mind if you consider omitting that? I'm not sure exactly what enforcement policy we have. I'm totally support of this, but would you consider possibly omitting that last paragraph?
So on Monday, the latest draft that came through, it says, be it further resolved that the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners hereby supports the development of the Coast to Coast on My-55 management plan.
Beautiful. That's not what's in front of my screen.
Go ahead.
Yeah, by support, what does that mean? Does that mean a dollar amount?
Nope, that
No money.
means a support to the resolution,
Okay,
and just you guys saying, yes, you support that we create this.
Thank you. Again, great meeting. You got a great group of people come in to work together for the betterment of the county. If you could just change that like you just did, I'm totally supportive. I was supportive of it before, but the verbiage is important because once we sign a document, we're responsible for that piece of paper.
I understand that, and
Thanks, Teresa.
the original resolution did come from MDOT, and they said, here's one that you can use. So that's what we went with, but no problem at all in changing it.
Thank you.
I'm with Mark on that the last paragraph has to be removed.
I agree.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. And I will not be here next week, our next meeting so if you have any questions or anything, just drop me an email.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Number 4, Michigan Employee Retirement Service Overview. Want to come up here, sir, and turn your mic on?
Good morning, how are you all today?
Good, how about yourself?
Good, pleasure to be here. I was asked to attend this. I was asked to attend this work session. I'm here for you. I do not have a presentation prepared. Any documents I'm going to send to you. I am here as your representative of the pension system. There was a from the county administrator stated that there was this meeting. I'm here available to you to answer your questions. I can go through anything and start. I can prime the pump, if to say, but I'm here for your needs and what you want to know about the pension system that you're providing. You are providing defined benefit plans. Some are open, most are closed, meaning those that are in it, but the new hires coming into those work classifications are going into a different plan. You have a hybrid plan set up for your prosecutors, and you have defined contribution for the other divisions that are now closed to new hires. The only division that is open to new hires is your sheriff's department. So we have defined benefit retirement plan, a couple different structures, defined contribution plan, and a hybrid plan, and you have a 457 voluntary option for people to save money into. I can go over any and all of those plans in more detail, but what is the pleasure of the board in today's work session?
Yes, sir.
I don't have any questions, but if you'd be so kind as to consider poking your head into some of the offices and letting them know you're here. I appreciate you being here today, sir.
Absolutely, I will, and those are things that I will do. Anything else, any status updates on any of these pension plans?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When a person reaches a certain age, their funds are transferred to a lower risk. Is that correct?
All depends on what plan you're in. So it sounds like what you're talking about is if someone is in the defined contribution plan and they have set up their funds to be managed through what's called the life path or target date funds is more commonly known. And what that means is that while someone's working, especially based on their age, they're in a diversified portfolio automatically. They elect to do this, but it's by their age. And as they get older, the risk drops down. And then once they get into retirement, they're still invested in stocks, but much less. They have more liquid assets like cash or bonds, so that they are protecting their account balance from undue losses because they're not working anymore. They don't have ways to withstand a loss in the market. And that's typically what's done for all investors when you have a long time frame to recoup, you have more risk. When you have a less time frame to add, or you don't have the ability to add dollars because you're no longer working, you're in what's called a more conservative portfolio. So up here, when you first start, you may be trying to target an 8 or 9 or 10% return. Or here, once you're in retirement, you may be targeting a 4 to 5% return. And so you set up your diversified portfolio to accomplish those goals. The Life Path Fund does that automatically. But when you're in a defined contribution plan, it's a participant-directed account, and the individual has that choice of how they want to manage their funds. In the defined benefit plan, MERS understands that your dollars that you have paid in to MERS to fund those retirements, we know across the state, because we're all put together for investment purposes, that MERS is, we're 77, 78 years old. We're a mature retirement system collectively. And that even here at the county here, you have more, since you closed your defined benefit plan, you have more members. You had over 200 and let me see what it says. Where'd you go? Come on. I don't have a touch screen, but it's not picking up my mouse. We have more. You have around 230 people in the system, and about 125 of them are retirees. Some of them are vested former members. They're no longer working here. They're not old enough to draw. But once they reach age eligibility, they'll start to draw. And then you have a few that earned a pension, or I mean, paid into the pension because of member contributions, but yet haven't requested their funds back in that defined benefit plan. So in that plan, MERS is always going to have downside protection first, upside participation in the markets. Because we know in this case where I just said you have more retirees, we need to protect the dollars that the county has paid in first, while also trying to get that 7% return so that we can fund their pensions going forward.
Does an employee have a choice on how that's done?
The employee always has the choice in the defined contribution plan. The defined benefit plan, they do not select their investments. The defined contribution plan, they do, which is what all your new
And
hires.
who chooses what plan they get?
Who chooses? This body did
Okay,
and has over the years decided what plan they're going to get by job classification. Like right now, your sheriff's department's the only one that are still new hire coming in is going to get a defined benefit plan. Your prosecuting attorneys, they're going to get a hybrid plan. All other employees that are eligible to receive a retirement plan are going into the defined contribution plan because that's what this body in previous years, along with your administration, has set up.
and that one gives the employee flexibility not to opt into a safer avenue once they reach a certain age?
The defined contribution plan allows them discretion of what investments to choose from day one to throughout their career and then in retirement. And in retirement, if they want to take them out and go to their local banker, they can. They want to keep them in MERS, they're always going to be a member of MERS until they close out their account.
And that person passes, where does that money go?
In a defined contribution plan, they direct it, and it's very liberal. They can give it to organizations, they can give it to their churches.
They name a beneficiary.
Yes, all retirement plans have a beneficiary. In a defined benefit plan, it has to be a person. In a defined contribution plan, it can be an association, organization, something other. But I mean, it can't be like, a tree or a dog. But and I say that jokingly, but some people have favorites. But like you can to your church. Where in a defined benefit plan, your beneficiary has to be a person, not an entity or an association, organization.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, if you could just walk around in case anybody has any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Number 5, Higgins Lake LLCS, Darlene Sensor.
So when it comes to Higgins Lake, the lake level control structure, Commissioner Wolfson and I have been talking about moving forward with obtaining a permit. From our understanding, there is going to be a survey that would be needed. I mean, we can apply for the permit, but without a survey, chances are the permit would be denied.
What is the survey?
It will be used, the survey for future design in case they need to check elevation. If
So it's for elevations and stuff like that to see what's
you have
up.
to set up construction, to do a benchmark. They want to do a bathymetry to see how much scour has taken place through the uncontrolled opening. determine elevation of the bottom of the uncontrolled opening and to determine true elevations of the flap gates and sheet piles. Currently, we had one person give us a bid on that, and that was it 5,800? In order to do that.
I think we'd like to have the board allocate $6,000 towards the survey of the general fund. If the board should decide not to do that, then we're going to seek other avenues for the funding.
Can we make that motion in the upcoming meeting?
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Any other discussion on this?
Good job. Appreciate the work.
I'd like a flavor from the board on who would be in favor of that and who would
Oh, you
not.
can't really ask that. That'll be coming up in 2 weeks.
We can't talk about that now.
Oh, not for.
That's what a work session was for.
Well, but not how you're gonna.
No, we're not going to vote. He just wants to know how the
In the
board members are
survey,
feeling on it.
In the survey, they do talk about that it would take, the company that we got the numbers from talked about that it would take approximately 3 days to complete the work with 2 people crew and do the drawing and present the breakdown of costs. That's how they came up with that number.
That isn't something that we can discuss in the open meeting now, Mr. Chair?
What do you want to discuss?
Well, it seems like a good idea to me. Is Mark in favor of it? Darlene, you and Rex, are you in favor of it? Because if people aren't in favor of it, it just kills it. Is that something?
Go ahead, Eric. In my opinion, Mr. Chair, I'd like to hear what Eric has to say.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah, well, that's what I would certainly be in favor of it. I hope other members of the board are in favor of that. We got to start somewhere.
Right.
And we keep putting these things off every, week after week after week after week. And right now, this county is in a potential very serious liability with what's going on Higgins Lake. And so I think we need to move forward with this as fast as we can. I think Rex and Darlene have done a great job on moving this stuff forward to take us out of that equation.
Sure.
I mean, I feel comfortable with the proposal. I won't be here. I'll be in Antarctica, so I'll be a little bit farther away, scouring down there, down below. But if it was in front of me, even to the thought that I've done, I would certainly consider supporting it.
Okay. So since you won't be here, then we'll only have 4 board members here, so
Right.
it'll be a majority rule.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, that being said, we'll meet at 10 a.m. Thank you. 2023. Let's stand for the pledge. Thank you. Roll call, clerk.
Russo,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Ostergren, Wolfson, Censor. Here.
Approval of the agenda. I have a couple items. First, everyone should have in front of you the treasurer's quarterly report. She is on vacation, so there won't be a presentation. This is the information for each commissioner to look through. Also,
This is nothing, no action item then. This is
no,
just-
it's no action.
Thank you.
Also, I just want to bring up to the public for people in Zoom land, under number 11, unfinished new business, the Houghton Lake Delegated Authority, we are going to be taking action on and voting on today. The clerk does have the resolution and she will be reading it. Is there any other changes?
1,138.
Oh, excuse me. I have one other one. For the motion number 2. For that high tension line, it's 1,138K. The motion right now says 138K. It's 1138.
So move with your changes, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that. Discussion?
A couple other items on the agenda. I just want to make sure that, I've got a couple of questions. I think they're going to be covered probably in some of the things coming up, but I want to make sure that I'm able to talk about some new business too.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, what are you gonna bring up? I want to hear what you're gonna
Well,
bring up.
between the meeting, we were talking about things that are going to be happening with the lake level control structure.
Yeah, Darlene's gonna bring that
Under
up.
unfinished new
Okay.
business.
And I had a couple other questions.
Yeah, I
involved
just
in
want to
that.
make sure that we put them down on the record so that we don't get misplaced.
Correct. I am, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
that'll be probably C, and Darlene's gonna bring up what she discussed in our work session. She's gonna get more in detail with it. Am I correct?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Appreciate your time.
Any other discussion? Clerk, call roll, please.
Censor. Yes. Ostergren.
Yes.
Wolfson. Russo.
Yes.
Milburn.
Yes.
Okay, number 5, approval of the minutes for 10/11/2023 regular meeting.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Wolfson. Censor.
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Ostergren.
Yes.
Milburn.
Yes.
Number 6, public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom? Number 7. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Just real quick. So, hold on, I gotta start my timer. I don't think I'll take that long. Anyhow, so this has happened a lot of meetings and I've had a conversation with Commissioner Wolfson on this. So this is all about my feelings and whether you guys, it matters to you or not, but it's kind of a little, I feel disrespectful whenever we're going for a motion for approving the minutes and there's such a long delay. To me, that indicates to me that you guys didn't read the minutes. So you're afraid to make a motion or a second on the minutes. I mean, it's what happened at the meeting. I'm hoping you're reading it because we spend a lot of time and the cliff notes are in the synopsis that we put in the paper the week before. So I just wanted to make you aware that that's kind of how that feels when we're having such a long delay in motions, especially when it comes to the minutes. That is all.
Thank you. Okay.
There's a Mr. Leroy Johnston.
Mr. Johnson, you're up.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'd just like to voice my support for the Emery Road resolution that is before the commission today. I don't think it's too much to ask, and I hope that you will vote in favor of it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Johnson, can you repeat yourself? You were really low. Okay. The clerk explained to us what you were speaking of. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Alan Ackerman.
Mr. Alan Ackerman, you're up. We
You got enough?
Mr. Ackerman, we can't hear you.
Is that gentleman part of your group? Okay. In support of, okay, thank you very much. Not a problem. I raised the question and we know what he's gonna basically be speaking of. Am I correct?
Yeah, it would be good to hear his comments if we
Right.
can wait a minute or two to see if we can get him on board, maybe.
He left.
He sent me his comments last night. If, there we go.
Are we on? There. There you go, Dan. Hello, are you there?
Here we go.
Yep, we got you now.
Yes.
Oh, good. I wrote this down so it would be nice and short for you. I'm sorry. My son and I went through the proposed resolution, and we strongly support the statements and the intent of the resolution. And urge you to pass it today. In the future, we would appreciate, on behalf of some of these owners, or I think all, that we add a few additional comments in a future resolution. You know, the beginning point here is that apparently the consumer's agent told the owners that consumers could not build in areas where there were wetlands because it would be too hard to get to the wetlands. It served as a real irritant to the owners, and it's rightfully irritated them. The real question is, how do they avoid the wetlands and the benefits of having wetlands, and at the same time build a line without killing every owner? What we would suggest is that in a future resolution, we look to alternative routes for consumers to go outside of the wetlands. We think it's going to be a problem because you're just going to hit some other homeowners on the road frontage. In Detroit and a lot of Southeast Michigan, in non-heavy residential areas, consumers is building the wires underground. And we think that ITC and consumers and the other electric companies can do that everywhere. I suspect that one of the problems here, and that's a secondary problem, is that what's being built here is for 135 kV, but the utility will have the right to go to 365 unless limited in what they acquire. And I think that they may not want to build underground because I think they want to build more line in the future and a bigger line, making it that much more unattractive for the property owners adjacent to the lines. It would make sense if consumers promised what they were really building. Are they going to take easements so they can enter any part of the property to repair their lines? Or are they going to just take the first 20 feet and not do anything else other than cut trees in the first 20 feet? Given this, if you wanted to think about adding a second resolution later, I'd urge you to do it. These people should not have to bear the misfortune of having a nicely located property in a really nicely located county and lose it for their wires. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
If you have any questions, just write me or
This
call.
one. Yeah, it's 138 or 138.
What the K stands for is 1,000. 138,000.
So it was right, Mark, with 138.
Okay.
In my opening remarks, I said 1,138. It's only 138K. Correct. Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Okay, number 7, Administrator Controller Report. Everyone did receive that. Correspondence, we have A through H. monthly department reports. We have the treasurer's report, which everyone has copy of, and I did speak of. An animal control and animal shelter stats for September of 2023. Do we have any visitors? Number 11, unfinished new business. A review of, okay, we went into closed session 2 weeks ago. When we came out of closed session, I should have stated that the committee reports are going to stay the same, and I did not say that. So I'm just verifying to the public. We came out of closed session. I never reported that. And I had to basically say when we got out of closed session, but everything's going to be the same. B, Home Lake Delegated Authority, Rex or Darlene. Okay.
Today, we have two things to act on. One of them is a resolution delegating for the delegated authority of Houghton Lake in Chase Sepke. And also is a contract to be signed with Sepke Consulting LLC to perform such services. So I guess we're going to leave it to the chairman to get the motions for such.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any questions for me on these?
Okay. C is going to be Darlene regarding Higgins Lake.
So in the work session, I brought up that, a bid for a survey. I just wanted to make it clear that if the county was to pay for the bid, first of all, it wouldn't just be that bid. We have to go out for bids, which is going to take a couple weeks. You have to post it. You have to write up the bid and then post it and then discuss it. Then you have to bring it back to the board in the work session. And then in 2 weeks, then it can be brought back to be voted upon. By the time you're all done and said, you're probably looking at 8 weeks plus. If we try another avenue, as far as if we're able to get donations to pay for the current bid that was given to us, then the permit process can begin right away. And I just kind of wanted to put that out there so that people are aware.
And that's what's gonna take the time, I believe, is once we submit the bid to Eagle. So we want to get this done as quickly as possible, so we're not in the same position last year for the summertime as we were this past year for the summertime. So I think it's important that you know, we try to ask for a private donation, save the county some money, and we can get moving forward on this, so we're not behind the 8 ball and like we were next year.
That, you know, if an organization come through forward and said, you know, we'd like to give you some money for this, we can accept it. But if we seek that donation, then we need approval by the board to send letters out for that, if we seek it. Another advantage to using the company that has given us a price on this now is Chase feels we'll get a lot more for our money because he'll be on site when this company does this, and he knows them, has worked with them, and he can get, well, go shoot this one and go shoot that one at no charge to us. I mean, he just feels we'll get a lot more for our money if we do this. But, you know, like Darlene says, if the county provides the money, we have to put it out for bids. Process will take.
So are we just gonna seek out a couple of organizations because we know some popular ones, or?
Well, we could do some verbal contact
Okay.
if that's what we want, but if we do formal contact, then it has to be done by board approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, it's just kind of like, we're gonna look at it on an informal basis.
Well, I suppose we should move forward doing it at a county level and hopefully get something in place where we can just get it taken care of in November.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other discussion regarding that?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, with your permission, Mr., we need to expedite it as quickly as possible, but I ask gently that we make sure that transparency is issued. Everybody should receive the same letter, and we should try to contact as many organizations as we know, so we're not leaving somebody out. And I would lean on Mr. Ostergen's knowledge, because you know some of the players that maybe I don't. I lean heavily on Mr. Ostergen. Obviously, the corporate knowledge here, we could move, but I would make sure that the board is totally involved in the process as a group. And I'm sure you would, I just want to say that. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Well, the nice thing is, you know, everybody here knows Chase. And he certainly, I don't think, would give us any bad information on the organization or what actually needs to be done over there. So I want to throw that out there.
Yep.
I wasn't implying that.
Mr.
Oh,
Chair,
I know, but I'm just, I'm throwing that out there.
if the direction we're gonna go is to formally seek donations, it'd be nice if we could get a consensus of the board to go ahead with sending out the letters. We can get that consensus today.
Hey, can we do that today, Michelle? Because this is new business.
For discretion. Are you gonna put it in?
It would have to be.
Yeah.
I would move to,
Maybe the motion. But we're not doing.
okay.
We can come up with the wording for the motion.
Yes.
So, what is your wording? Whatever you give me. Let me turn that on. So I have a question regarding this, the delegated authority resolution, however, because you noted that we're gonna do, this resolution, so it's actually gonna be resolution. So, okay, number 3. And then you said that, do you need a separate motion to sign the service agreement?
That's,
Okay, so we need to put, that's a motion number 4 then, for the service agreement. So then this motion for seeking donations is gonna be motion number 5. Okay.
are you gonna need time to do a recess?
Yeah, we've got 2 motions that we need to word, because we need to word a motion for the service agreement for delegated authority. And
Yep.
then we need to word this motion for seeking donations. Is that what you're doing? So if we could take a brief recess, I would appreciate.
Let's take a 15-minute recess.
Great.
Motion number 4 will be moved to authorize David Russo, Chair, to sign the services agreement of delegated authority for Houghton Lake, Lake St. Helen, and Higgins Lake between Roscommon County and Shepke Consulting LLC. Motion number 5 moves that the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners move forward to seek private donations to fund the survey for Higgins Lake lake level control structure.
Thank you. Okay. We're in the motions. Motion number 1.
Move to adopt the L 4402 statement showing taxable valuations and mills apportioned by the County Board of Commissioners for the year 2023 and authorize Jamie Hauserman, Equalization Director, to sign the L 4402, thereby authorizing and directing the various assessing officers to spread the rates against the taxable valuation for 2023.
So move. Discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Milburn.
Yes.
Censor. Yes. Ostergren.
Yes.
Wolfson.
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion number 2, please.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-10-02, request for alternative location regarding Emery Road project. Roscommon County Board of Commissioners, resolution number 2023-10-02, request for alternative location regarding Emery Road project. Whereas Consumers Energy has proposed a substation upgrade project to replace the existing Houghton Heights substation with the intent of enhancing safety, reliability, and capacity of electrical distribution in the Houghton Lake community. And whereas this upgrade will require the installation of a new 138K high distribution lines along the right-of-way of Emery Road in Roscommon Township between South Reserve Road and South Harrison Road. And whereas the proposed route will impact roughly 120 property owners, creating a potential decrease in property values, a decline in the natural beauty of this area, and potential increased health concerns. And whereas resident Jeffrey McElvoy, on behalf of approximately 68 of the affected homeowners, expressed valid concerns regarding the proposed project locations, requesting that Consumers Energy consider the alternative option of utilizing state land for installation of high voltage lines. And whereas it is the desire of the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners to support its citizens' reasonable request to Consumers Energy for consideration of implementing an alternative plan. And whereas the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners believes that advances in the transmission of electrical services can be achieved while balancing the needs of its citizens and maintaining the beauty and aesthetics of our community, ensuring that the human element is not lost in the search for progress. Now therefore be it resolved that the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners strongly urges Consumers Energy to implement an alternative strategy such as that recommended by many concerned citizens of Roscommon Township. And therefore be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be provided to Consumers Energy, Congressman Jack Bergman, State Representative Ken Borton, State Senator Michelle Hoitenga, the Michigan Public Service Commission, and members of the Roscommon Township Board.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Discussion?
On behalf of the citizens, I'm proud to support. I ask that we support this resolution unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I as well support this resolution wholeheartedly. I know a lot of people put a lot of work into this. A lot of our concerned citizens in Roscommon Township are very, very concerned about this, and I think this is a very, very good resolution.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Spencer.
Yes.
Ostergren.
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Wolfson. Milburn.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you. Okay, motion number 3, please.
Just 1 second. I can
Yes.
check that out real quick. Okay. Move to adopt resolution number 2023-10-03, Houghton Lake Level Delegated Authority Resolution. Houghton Lake Level Delegated Authority Resolution number 2023-10-03. Whereas Houghton Lake is an inland lake located within Roscommon County, subject to established normal levels established by the Roscommon County Circuit Court and governed by Part 307 of Michigan's Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act, MCL 324.30701 at sequential. Part 307. And whereas under Part 307, the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners designate a delegated authority to perform duties under Part 307. MCL 324.30701 at whereas per order of the Roscommon County Circuit Court and under Part 307, there is a Houghton Lake level special assessment district established to defray, in summary, costs imposed by the county to maintain the normal levels of Houghton Lake. The MCL 324.30711 and MCL 324.30714. And whereas the Board of Commissioners solicited bids from professionals to be the delegated authority for Houghton Lake to professionally manage the levels of the lake, among other things. And whereas after reviewing the bids, the Board of Commissioners desired to name Shepke Consulting LLC, Chase Shepke, as Houghton Lake's delegated authority under Part 307 pursuant to the provisions below. Now therefore be it resolved, 1, delegated authority, upon successful execution of a contract for services between Shepke Consulting LLC and Roscommon County, Shepke Consulting LLC shall become the delegated authority under Part 307 for Houghton Lake and shall perform all duties as specified by contract and as authorized by the County Board of Commissioners to the extent permissible under Part 307. Shepke Consulting LLC, Chase Shepke, shall not become or be the delegated authority for Houghton Lake. 1, until a contract for services is executed and approved between both parties. 2, if a contract for services with Shepke Consulting LLC, Chase Shepke, expires and is not renewed by Roscommon County, and/or 3, if contract negotiations between Shepke Consulting LLC, Chase Shepke, and the county are unsuccessful for any reason. 2, cost of activities. All permissible costs that the county pays Shepke Consulting LLC, Chase Shepke, to perform duties under Part 307 may be reimbursed by special assessments utilizing the Houghton Lake Lake Level Special Assessment District. Any assessments may begin to be imposed and collected for 2024 winter taxes and as otherwise permitted by law, and may be imposed and assessed as necessary in the future.
Second. Discussion. Clerk call roll, please.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes.
Wilson. Resolution adopted.
Motion number 4, please.
Move to authorize David Russo, Chair, to sign the services agreement of delegated authority for Houghton Lake, Lake St. Helen, and Higgins Lake between Roscommon County and Shepke Consulting LLC.
Second.
Discussion. Clerk call roll, please.
Russo,
Yes.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Wolfson. Motion carried.
That's it.
Oh, one more.
That's right.
Move that the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners move forward to seek private donations to fund the survey for Higgins Lake Lake Level Control Structure.
And that would be motion number 6.
No, that's motion number 5.
Number 5.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This is a big deal. This is a big deal. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Clerk call roll.
Wolfson. Yes. Ostergren,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Censor.
Yes.
Motion carried.
That's it.
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle. Committee reports. Eric.
Yeah, I have quite a bit here really today. Last week, I attended the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Authority, and the meeting lasted from 12 noon to 4:30. Had to drive all the way to Traverse City, didn't get home till about 7:30 that night, and most of their meetings are a day long. Anyway, most of the issues that were discussed seemed to be centered around the Traverse City area. All the attendees were very nice. Presentations were very informative. Everyone was talking about the problems with the enabling agreement, the Carver model for governance, and the bylaws not yet being rewritten. So that was a concern for everybody. It's been an ongoing issues up in this organization for quite a while. County administrators from all the counties put the enabling agreement together, and it isn't working, as say the county commissioners, and they're very unhappy with the enabling agreement, the Carver model for governance, and the current bylaws. Bylaws are currently being rewritten without any input from the county commissioners. County commissioners were never allowed to see the current enabling agreement that was employed in April or were part of drafting it. It was just presented as a take it or leave it. Consensus was that it needs to be reworked as soon as possible. A qualified attorney needs to be involved immediately. And one of the commissioners said they're having a really good attorney looking at it right now. The commissioners just need to have more input on drafting it. It was suggested to look at other successful counties that are organized differently, like the Oakland County model. They have a very good organization down there for taking care of the mental health situation. We need to exit our current model, was the consensus. The organization is facing some real challenges. Statements were made by board members that something needs to be done. Several board members said that they have lost control of what is going on, and a new governance model, enabling agreement and bylaws need to be worked up. Brian Martinez, interim CEO, and he's been an interim CEO for now a year because they haven't found a permanent one, said we needed a dispute resolution form and bylaws for that resolution. And for the dispute resolution group, and that is supposed to be created by the county administrators, and that was supposed to be done a long time ago. The request was sent out in June by Brian to all the county administrators, and nothing has been done regarding the dispute resolution form, and it is needed to move forward with the operation of the organization. The board wants to hire a new CEO, of course, because we have an interim one, and since the current one is temporary, although he's doing a great job. Brought up the fact that before we hire a new CEO, they need to have that new enabling agreement, abandon the Carver model for governance and create new bylaws. Otherwise, the new applicant will not want to take the job because they just won't know how things are going to be moved going forward. And I believe that's one of the current problems with the organization. A motion was passed regarding hiring an employment agency to find a new CEO. And I again mentioned that they needed to have those agreements in place before they spend the money on hiring a new CEO and before they pull the trigger on that one. And most of the board members there agreed with my sentiments on that. We also voted to allow meetings to be recorded and saved on YouTube, much like we do here. Right now, they just record the audio. If anybody wants to see or hear the audio of the 4.5 hour meeting that we had last week, they can do that. Although I doubt you'll want to do that. There's some more bad news. Stacy Mayville, our executive secretary, just announced that she's leaving the organization. She's been a very stabilizing force in the organization. And Ben Lowe will attest to the great job that she's been doing there. It's going to create some new challenges for us as we move forward. On a positive note, our staff and customers like what's going on. The issues, despite the turmoil at the top, the issues that they need, that the customers, which are mental health folks and the staff, just need some help. It's reported to be doing much better, and positive results are being realized, in despite of those issues. So that's a positive. Something positive we can feel good about. This is especially heartening since our staff providing services is seeing turmoil in the upper management. And hopefully when we have a new CEO and governance model established, that will improve even more. In my discussion with Under Sheriff Ben Lowe and Angie, it was explained that a lot of the problems they were having with the mental health situation here, because we had a meeting before I went up there, had to do with the jail being treated. A lot of the folks in the jail could be treated under our mental health services, so we don't take up capacity in the jail, and hopefully that'll reduce the cost of the county so more people can that should be in jail are left in jail, and the people that are requiring mental health services get that kind of help. We're talking about a lot of money here. We're talking about millions of dollars that are poured into our county that we need to get a better grasp on. Anyway, that would also free up space for like the real criminals, like I just said. I've also been asked to attend another full day meeting on Tuesday, October 31st in Traverse City at 10 o'clock for a closed session. Another full day meeting the very next day in November 1 in Cadillac. In addition, I would just request you fill out a few reports, including one named board self-evaluation, another one named annual individual self-evaluation, and another one named board mean self-assessment policy 4.0 global governance board CEO linkage direct inspection dated October 19th, 2023. This is an extensive bureaucracy we're dealing with up here, folks. I mean, it's crazy. It's been suggested that the 6 counties need to be broken up into 2 separate organizations, and I also think that needs to be done. Crawford, Missaukee, Wexford, and Roscommon should seriously consider breaking off so we can control our own destiny. Right now, Traverse City has way too much control over what's going on in the entire organization. And I think that needs to be examined. I don't know how we go about doing that, but I'm open to suggestions. The demands of this position that I have been asked to do on this committee, it's really a full-time job. I mean, I saw a lot of committee members and board members there that I know are, especially in Grand Traverse County, that are paid a lot more than we are as commissioners, and they're spending a horrendous amount of time on this because there's a lot of money involved up in Traverse. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's like 5 or 6 times as much money goes to Traverse County. Grand Traverse County comes to Roscommon. I need some help on the meetings coming up. I had a previous appointment established with Eaton Industries on October 31st. And this new organizational meeting that they just came up with, they told me about it last week on the 31st. I'm wondering if I can get one of our board members to substitute and go to that with me. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to figure something out. But if I can get any assistance from anybody, I know Mark attended those meetings way years and years ago, way back in the
Back when
olden,
I didn't need
in the olden
glasses.
days. And perhaps you might be able to help me out on that, or someone else.
Yeah, you know, especially when I get back from my trip, I'd be happy to help in any way that, and I'd always go through the chairman to keep the chairman informed.
Sure. And that's October 31st. That's next week, next Tuesday.
Not a good time before I zip off, because I gotta take my kid Halloween trick or treating. It's this problem when you have an 11-year-old.
I will try to figure something out unless one of my other board members can help me out. Maybe Dave, maybe you can help me out. I don't know what other meetings you have. Anyway. I'd like to add that this committee assignment for the NLC MHA is a newly created position for our board that was created by the new enabling agreement. And I think we really need to figure out something different. I know that we have people, I think Angie, if I can correct with Ben, she knows what's going on the interior and what is really needed. And it's going to take, I've been told, up to a year to get on board with that. Hopefully, we can figure out something in the meantime so I can be more effective and the county can be more effective in making some things happen. Anyway, another committee things. This is a different issue entirely. Additionally, I signed up to attend the current perspectives on wake boats at the MSU campus in East Lansing on December 1st, 11 o'clock at Brody Hall. I've signed up for that, paid for that, so I'm going to be going to that. Something needs to be done regarding these boats on Houghton and Higgins Lake. These wake board boats are creating a lot of wave action and causing a lot of problem on our lake shores. And whether it be an ordinance or something, we need to investigate any way we can ban these things off of our lake. And I don't know how we can do that, but I think I'm going to start looking. I'm going to find out more down at the exhibition on the 1st of December, what we can do. But that has to be done. Additionally, before all the distraction with the SADs and the lake level control structures and my criminal lawsuit that's pending against me and trying to maintain the legal lake levels, I was communicating with the contractors from the Michigan Shoreline Partnership, and I still have that information. I'm going to get him in here one of these days to make a presentation on the issues with our shorelines and how we can do shoreline reclamation and do natural preventative things to help our shoreline with the legal levels being maintained where they should be. I know in the past that the Higgins Lake Foundation provided grants to help with the prevention of shoreline erosion on Higgins Lake. Last thing, a few months ago, Jody asked me to work with Phil on making the lake level page more understandable for the public. I don't know if Phil is a county employee or not. She's not here to respond to that, or he's an outside contractor. Do you know Michelle?
He's an outside contractor.
Outside contractor, okay.
Or he's an employee. Okay.
Thank you. Anyway, he just contacted me and he said he's been ill, and he's going to contact me. He said next week sometime, so we can make the lake level page a little more understandable, so we can understand on a daily basis. Because right now it's virtually. It took me a long time just to figure out how to make everything else work, and that wasn't on the page. So hopefully we can make that easier for people. They can just go to the page and have the instructions on how to figure out what's going on with our lake levels. Anyway, he's going to get a hold of me in the next week or so, he said. And the problem with our current website is, of course, that nobody can understand it, and I don't either understand. So hopefully I'm going to be working on that, getting that handled.
Good person.
Longest committee report I've ever given. So
Phil's a really good person. He was our IT at one time.
Good. Look forward to working with him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Millman.
Thank you, sir. This afternoon, I'm glad we get out of here, hopefully before 3, because I have to be down at District Health with Darlene. Got to sign bills today, and then we got economic development meeting. On the other note, tourism board last week met with the folks they put together the resolution. I went to NMCAA, which is in Traverse City also, spent the day there. The big takeaway there was the fact that they were hammering home that Roscommon County has basically 1 in 5 considered food insecure, which kind of caught me off guard. The COA, met a couple times with the COA, the Commission on Aging. Yesterday, I don't even know if Krista knows this, but we hired a new executive director, which is Deborah Looney. That took a couple of meetings to do. And on another side note, I'd like to thank the citizens that I represent to be here today. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Bill Cloud and his wife, Wilma. A couple months ago, I had the privilege to be with Jack Bergman, our congressman, awarded Bill his third Purple Heart, and he's received 2 Bronze Stars. So thank you, folks, for being here today, sir. It's an honor to see the fact you're here. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Third. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
The only meeting that I had was meeting with Commissioner Wolfson regarding the lake levels and moving forward with our plans. And
You got a heavy day coming up. I had an agenda meeting and this budget stuff. All I had this time around. My 911 authority board meeting was canceled, and I think it's going to be next week before it's going to be rescheduled.
My report's going to pale in comparison to that wonderful report we got by Commissioner Estrogen. It was very thorough, and I really appreciate that. I had a meeting with the Hazardous Waste Committee 2 weeks ago, and the way it stands right now, they collect $1.75 for each household in the county to support that. They're going to have a spring event again. After that, they think they're going to have to go to a 1-year event. But the concern with that is price of putting on the event's going to go up because we're going to handle twice as much stuff. And like the hazardous chemicals, I think they took in like 12,000 pounds. And it cost us like $13,000 to just get rid of it. Well, that was just for one event. If we're taking in double that, then our cost doubles. So right now, the plan is to approach the townships and see if we can get an additional 50 cents per household to cover this. And I told them I would take it to a couple of the townships myself and see if we can get their support for an additional 50 cents per household.
Thank you, sir. Okay, number 14, public comment. Yes, ma'am. Please make sure the mic's on. Green light, and please state your name.
Good morning, Sherry McGee, 7184 West Emory. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Milburn for attending the Emory meeting on October 21st. All the people there were very impressed that you were there, so thank you very much from the committee. I would also like to state that for this project, what is the benefit of the property owners of Emory? There really isn't a benefit because all our utilities are underground. We don't get no benefit from the high voltage line. And who benefits from this? That's what we want to know. Who benefits? Does anybody know? No. And I've asked that. I received this, or I found this out yesterday. It's a news release from Consumers Energy. They just received a $100 million grant from the state of Michigan to upgrade their the utility for the state of Michigan. And I have copies here if you so choose to have some. Also on the last page is a quote from Tanya Berry, Consumers Energy Senior Vice President of Transforming and Engineering. We consider this a $100 million down payment on our reliability roadmap. A $100 million down payment. And what are we getting out of this? Zero. Or $500 for our frontage of our property, losing our frontage property. So, and I would also thank you for your votes today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Wilma Wimmer, and I live at 6121 West Emory Road, and I support what Sherry McGee had to say. We're very involved in this project because we feel, pardon me, that it would be so detrimental to all of the neighbors, not just one or two, but everybody on the entire road of Emory will lose so much property. And it's confusing what we hear about how many feet they will take, because in reality, it's 33 feet from the middle of Emory to the first easement, and then 40 feet after that. So in some cases, this power line will be at their front door. And it's very serious on behalf of everybody. So I just want to thank you for your time and opportunity.
You're welcome. Yes, sir. Please state your name
Lights on.
and the green light's on.
It's Rick Meeks. I live on Wall Street, which I'm on my property's on Higgins Lake. So I had a couple things I wanted to share with you today. Some of the stuff perhaps you're aware of and have seen. So you are. And apologize for implication and ask for your patience. Thanks, Rich. This is a letter. It's an old letter.
Welcome, Carl Geiger days.
Carl Geiger days. I have been coming to board meetings and public meetings for 20 years, talking about trying to hold down the amount of water in the lake. And this is a letter that I used to hand out to people. And then I would call up Pulowski and say, I got your letter again. So you're going to be getting some phone calls. He's retired now, but his successor will tell you the same thing. I'd call him up and say, Jim, you're going to get calls. He said, good. I like talking to people. It's the same answer. The operation, Higgins Lake Dam, has virtually no impact on Houghton Lake. It's something that you get, it's hard to understand, but you can't be a flat earther. You can't look out there and see the end of the world. Yeah, the watershed at Houghton Lake is so massive and they get so much water from so many different sources. Our Pittance little dam here doesn't release enough water to affect it. So I use it as an example of something not to be misled, to talk to people too, because if Pulowski would talk to me, he'll certainly talk to you guys. So talk to people. There are witnesses, there are experts in the community that will talk to you about some of this stuff. So it's another one. I got here. I've gone to the USGS site. The county pays for. I started off, I think it was $3,600 a year. I think it's up to $5,000 now. But I took the numbers showing what the level of the lake was at the beginning of the boating season, June 1st, the end of the boating season, the end of August. Basically, the bulk of our boating season. I looked at the two numbers and then looked at it and said, did the lake go up or down? Now, the 25 years I looked at, it went down. The dam is closed. The lake went down 21 years. Number one. Two, you look and see, it doesn't really matter who was running the dams, whether it was me or anybody. It's the same thing going on. It goes down. And it's before the 5-foot opening even. Look at that. There's been no change. The 5-foot opening. Everybody wants to focus on it. It's not happening. It's not the culprit. This one is the winter level. Now, it doesn't go as long as the other one because a few years ago, they were getting nervous about the fact that it went down too far. You might not ever get it up again. So we had to go and start closing the dam early. So I didn't get to the last few years. That's missing because the water level came up too much because of closing the dam. So, but you can see what's happening. With the dam wide open, water comes up. More years than not, it came up 10 out of 14 years. Wait a minute. Dam's open in the winter, water comes up, it's closed in the summer, goes down. What's going on here? It's not the 5-foot opening. You're focusing on the wrong thing. It's evaporation. Evaporation on this lake is enormous. This is a study that was done. Give you this one. Just some numbers about how much water. To get an idea of the massive issue that it is.
Thanks, Rick.
This tells you how much water is in the top 1 inch of Higgins Lake. Take that amount of water, 171 million gallons, top 1 inch. How long is it going to take you to squeeze it through 5-foot opening?
Thank you, Rick. Any other public comment? Okay, number 8, adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Let's move 11:25 for our special meeting. Thank you. Thank you. Roll call, clerk.
Okay.
Ostergren,
Here.
Censor,
Here.
Milburn,
Here.
Russo.
Here.
Wolfson.
Here.
Approval of the agenda.
So move, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Clerk, please call roll.
Wolfson,
Here.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Yes.
Public comment. Anybody on Zoom? Okay, new business. Noel, can I please ask you to come up and sit at the table, please? Awesome. And Jody, you're on. Can you make a big picture of her? Or, no? Oh, okay.
I don't think she.
Can you hear us, Jody?
I think she can hear us, but she can't respond.
Oh, okay.
Yep, thumbs up.
A 2023 year-end general
Can she
fund.
respond to questions? Will she be able to? or-
No.
No.
Maybe Jody, is it because of the problem we're having or? Okay, if you wish to speak at any point in time, Jody, just do it. Thank you. Year-end general fund balance. Noel, I'm gonna need help from you on this stuff. Cause usually Jody's explaining the numbers and all this kind of stuff. Sorry to put you in the spot.
That's all right. Well, looks like, I think it's the,
23.
this page here. Beginning fund balance, January 1 of 2023 is $1,197,849.09. For, it looks like Jody's final tallies, our final 2023 estimated revenues are going to be about $10,418,290.39, with an estimated final 2023 expenditures estimated to be $10,402,256.12. So with an ending fund balance, 2023 of $1,213,883.36, including a transfer from the tax payment fund for the special assessment districts of $255,000. The projected budgeted fund balance for 2024 is $1,468,883.36. That is a fund balance percent of 14.12%. So our usual, the board, your goal is a 15% fund balance. So in order to be able to reach that, you need $1,560,338.42. So still, in order to be able to get that, we are needing $91,455.06. The change that we are seeing from 2023 to 2024 is about $271,034.27.
That's positive, that's more.
Correct.
Good job, Noelle.
Hey, thanks. Just interpreting here, hold on.
So the bottom portion of that spreadsheet.
Wait a minute, Jody, hold on. Can you turn her volume up so we can hear her? Thank you, Jody.
Okay, so the bottom portion of this, is that echoing?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, the bottom portion of that spreadsheet just shows you where we had budgeted for 2023 versus where I'm predicting that we will be for both revenues and expenses. And then just how far off the difference is.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, review of finalizing 2024's budget.
So I will do my best to go over this. I provided you the lengthy copy of the budget. Essentially, you've already approved all the collectible millages with the L4029 back in July. Some of the questions that I have been asked is what's included in the budget. If you had a chance to look through the motions, that really outlines it. But essentially, it is the 3% cost of living for non-union, the changes for the benefits that have already been discussed by the Board of Commissioners, and the labor union's negotiation request of the additional 1%. So those are those portions that are in the budget for 2024. We're looking at overall about a 5.4% across the board increase in expenses and revenues.
Correct.
What's that?
All your proposals.
That's the 218-page document?
Correct.
For the budget,
But everything, all three is related.
I,
I got that right here.
I have a lot of questions. And this is gonna be really difficult doing it this way. And I know a couple of my fellow commissioners had some questions too. I don't know how we're gonna be able to do this in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. This is, we've got 3 new commissioners on board here. And we haven't been through this process before. And I know Mark and Dave have. And I know we're just not here to rubber stamp what's going on. This is our main function. And that is to oversee the budget and the expenses on what's going on. You know, going through, I see the accounts numbers and I see a very brief explanation of what it is. But for example, on page 3, it has our Board of Commissioners appropriations. There's a line item in there called consultant fees for 43 grand. I'm sorry, 47 requested budget. Jody, what is that?
So that is your two major areas. That is your audit fees, which is roughly $38,000. And then the other portion of that is the amount that we have to do for our annual OPEB, which is the post-employee benefits. So both have to do with auditing.
Why would that be listed as a consultant fee?
That's just the title that it fits under per what it's called.
I guess those are some of the questions as we're going through this, and I don't know how my fellow commissioners feel about that, but these are some of the things that we need an explanation on.
Well, just bring them up as we go through.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a lot of them.
Okay.
And I think Commissioner Sensor has a lot of them.
We're here to do this. If it takes all day,
Okay.
it takes all day.
It's extremely difficult to do this by Zoom.
Under no time.
I'm sorry, but I do have family dying. So this is the best I can do.
Jody, I'm not,
We understand that.
and I'm appreciating that you're on Zoom to do this and not just not being here. So I really do appreciate.
I would tell you that you can easily email me your questions as well. So the budget categories haven't changed. What's in the budget hasn't changed as far as the expenses annually. So it's the same budget that you've had since you've been here in January. It's just looking at what 2024 expenses are. So no department heads have requested additional expenses. The only thing that's different in here is the wages and the salaries.
Yep. And honestly, when I became a commissioner, I got a hold of the year before budget and looked at it. And I thought maybe you guys all had the booklets, to get familiar with everything.
And that's one of the things that I appreciate, Jody. You're down in a very difficult situation. It's very difficult to deal with this via telecommunications, basically. And that's one of the reasons I would think that it would be better to wait until you get back so we can go through this where you have more time rather than.
I don't know when I'm going to be back at this point. I'm really sorry. I don't know when I'm going to be back. Okay. I have 2 terminally ill family members and 1 mom. So you're going to have to work with me here to the best of your ability. We have had the same budgets, you guys. She started in January. Noelle can answer as many questions in person as I can about the line items too.
Thank you.
And I was going to say, I spoke with Rex yesterday regarding a couple of these things and was able to answer a few questions for him. And some of the questions, like the description of a lot of these line items, these names of a lot of these line items have been used for, gosh, predated Jody and I. And a lot of these descriptions actually were used in a prior software system even and carried over. And so they may not necessarily 100% describe exactly what's being paid out of these particular line items, but they describe maybe just an overall general expense, and so it best fits what's being paid out of there. And so we can slowly work through and maybe go through and say, okay, maybe that could be described maybe a little bit better, but that's going to be a very labor intensive, logistical process that we can do. But for right now, what we're at, look at that consultant fee, like she said, that's what best describes, what is
they're
in
doing.
your budget right now. That best describes that expense.
And if we need changes, that's what claims and accounts, because you see these numbers every once a month, Eric, and the names behind it.
Mr.
I can
Chair,
appreciate that. I can appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I can appreciate the situation entirely. I really do.
Yeah, and
But that's part of our job is oversight.
Yep.
What's going on, and if things are mislabeled or.
It's only a clarification. We just
Absolutely.
want to make sure that we understand, and that's all it is.
Absolutely. And yeah, like she said, and I'm very aware of everything that, that's in there, and I can absolutely help you, delineate what those descriptions are. Like I was explaining to him the other day, he was, curious about, like we were talking about health insurance and, or, retirements, certain things about like county due, or due from, or, the county portion. And I was, explaining when you put in a line item into the budget, those descriptions, a lot of times you have to actually put in a description for, it's not based on the fund. A lot of times it's actually based on that actual, like the 703, that's for a salary. So when you're building your actual, your lines, you're building, it takes all of those descriptions and then puts it together. So a 703 is going to match up to all different kinds of funds. It may not necessarily describe what's coming out of the 606 fund, but because you're using that 703 number, it's going to attach it to it. So it can be a very intensive process. So again, it's just going through, it's a very meticulous thing and going through. So just ask those questions, and we're very, very, very open. You can go ahead and, if there's something that doesn't make sense, just clarify, just come and ask us, and we're, more than happy to.
It's just like me being a fire chief. All the bills come to me and I have to code them.
Mhm.
And there's times I go with the township clerk and say, I don't know, is this a 3704-006, or where do I code this for the money to be taken out of? And it's no different on the county.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to state my difficulty with Zoom is a personal issue of mine, nothing to do with Jody. I have a very, very hard time making my hearing aids tune in to Zoom.
We have capability, Rex, for you to put a headset on. Am I correct? Okay. Yeah, anytime in a public meeting, Rex, you could have a headset on.
But then how do I communicate with the public here?
Well, you still could hear the public, but you're hearing actually the Zoom too.
Your deer ears.
Mhm.
I got them on.
When the people are talking, Rex.
So my wife
Jody
calls
or
them
both
deer
of
ears,
you,
but-
and then I'll just share.
Yep.
Whatever my questions are with.
Sure.
For sure.
Yes, Jody.
My frustration is in that today is October 25th, and this board has been present since January 1st. We've had the same categories, the budget has been shared, the bills have been paid, and it gets very frustrating that nobody's asked questions about titles beforehand. So I appreciate you doing your jobs.
Thank you.
Budget that was passed last year was not us, though.
Correct, but when you became a commissioner, you should have received a budget or requested for one.
Yeah, that's true, but now we're responsible for this. That's the only reason for the.
Right, but then,
We just need to rubber stamp everything and.
no, but then everyone should have kind of had questions. What does this mean or that mean and stuff like that at that point?
Yeah.
I'm not picking on nobody, but when you do claims and accounts, Eric,
They are paid out of all of these.
they're paid out of all these different categories. And if anything, you probably should have caught them before these two. I'm not picking on you or
Oh,
nothing.
no, I understand.
You know,
It's board as a whole.
that's right. Yes, Mark.
Kind of a comment, and I want to hear what Julie has to
And
say.
you gotta speak up, sir.
This is an amazing budget. And the fact that you put so much time and energy, and this isn't a faint praise, and I'm not asking anybody to report on this to come across wrong. Jody's done an amazing job, along with Julie and Noel. We have the most amazing staff, and I'm not saying this is just a faint praise. This is from my heart. I'm just shocked that Jody's online today. Matter of fact, I'm kind of hoping she signs off so she can get on with what's really important in her life.
Yep.
This is an amazing budget. I do want to hear the questions from my fellow commissioners if they have any. We have two folks here that can answer those questions. We have an amazing staff. We have an amazing team. We have an amazing department heads, and we have amazing people in this county. And really, at the end of the day, they should get the credit. It's our job to finalize the budget, but they deserve the credit. Thanks, Mr. Chair, and I hope Jody punches out of here and takes care of what's important.
So maybe what I would suggest is those individual questions, if you email them to me, I can answer them. I'm assuming it's questions more related to what is in this line item, why do we do this? And we can move forward to the next portion, which is reviewing those generalized appropriations that come. So those
Yeah,
motions.
like mine are, a lot of mine are pretty simple, you know, like with the appropriations, and I'll use district health for the one. I know that there's a formula for it. And I know prior, Bob and you worked with that and actually got that lowered. However, I'd like to know what that formula is. So in the future, if this could help us in any way, you know, I don't know, is it based on how many?
Based on population.
Yeah, so if Roscommon County's population goes down, then that apportionment should go down.
I can answer that question with your permission, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, it was based on some of the counties, there was a disproportionality, if that's a word. They weren't, I hate to use the word paying their fair share, but for this discussion, that would be an appropriate assumption. It's based on population, and some of the counties throughout the years, throughout the numerous years, they'd gone up and down, and it wasn't based on their population. When Bob, as our chairman, pointed this out, I sat on the board with him. There was an alignment, a realignment to make sure that everybody was paying their fair share. One county in particular, I can't remember which one, right off the, I'm not sure
I
which
know
one it
which
was.
one it is.
I think so too, but I don't want to say it because I'm not sure. Wasn't paying what they should have paid. So we pointed that out. Bob and I brought it to the attention of the board. It caused some calamity, but the bottom line is it was important. Just because we had a good fund balance shouldn't mean that we pay more.
Correct.
It wasn't fair to the people that I represent, the people that this board represents. So we made that, we made that comment, and it got changed because our people in our county shouldn't be penalized or paid for another county's misappropriation.
Right.
And I shouldn't say misappropriation because that's not really, it was just a realignment. I don't think there was never any intention to do anything wrong. You said when Bob and I pointed out that the fact that the numbers didn't equal a sense of fairness, I guess, would be, or quality. We pointed out there was a realignment. That was a couple, 3-4 years ago.
So it is based on your total population and your total taxable value. So our total SEV. When they redesigned this, it is set for 5 years, according to the community, the board down there. And then
We probably did 5 years ago.
So we'll pay the same amount for the next 5 years, well, 4 years now. And the board for Central Michigan District Health will then reevaluate that. At no time can they charge additional funding to you unless you as the Board of Commissioners approves an additional allocation outside of the formula.
Okay.
Thank you, Jody.
Those are just the types of questions I have.
Yes. Well, you got to come up here and state your name, please. That's the board rules. I'm sorry. Well, we're reviewing the budget.
I just wanted to reiterate and for you to understand what Jody said, that nothing has changed financially in the budget except for salaries.
Right.
The items that some people are asking questions about, descriptions, why does this say that? I guess the point was trying to be made that you've had this from day one. You may or may not be on a committee where you see these amounts in these line items quite frequently. So the bottom line is we're on a deadline. So I just want you to pay attention to what's important right now and listen to what Jody is saying, because as far as I'm concerned, she has gone way above. Done the work before she left, made sure everybody got it, and is here on Zoom when she should not be.
I agree. I told her personally not to worry about being here today.
So we need to do as much as we can to work together to answer some of your questions and let Jody deal with what she's got.
Absolutely.
That's all I want to say. Oh,
I
my name's
have no
Julie.
questions.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
Thank you, Julie.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a lot of questions about, what's in here. And it's just, because I don't understand some of it. But is this meeting to say that we as commissioners have no input on what our budget is and what we spend money on?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely
Okay.
not.
So what's your questions?
You want me to start going down?
You can.
I mean, page 27, building and grounds, estimated revenues. I see that we have no money coming in for the annex rent. Is that because we no longer rent that out?
We do not rent the annex out. That is, yep, the annex is now owned completely by the Children's Assessment Center. So they will be taking total propriety of that in October of next year.
Page 25, estimated revenues for elections. We're listing that we're expecting $1,500 to come in for fines. And we had none come in on 2023. Something changed that now all of a sudden we're gonna get monies
So
for fines?
2020, yep.
I will be glad to answer
was just gonna
that.
say, Michelle.
I am the one that does the elections budget and sets that up. 2023 is not an election year, basically. 2024 is. So if you go back and you look at equal election years, so 2024, an equivalent for 2024 would be 2020 because of the type of elections that occur during that year. So no, we don't have candidates filing in 2023 for anything. So most of them don't have their reports because it's most of the reporting that is submitted is during an election year. So election report, it's the fines, right? So the fines. So that's for people who don't file their campaign finance reports on time. And I do assess fines for that. So I don't usually anticipate much because
So this doesn't happen yearly.
Yes, she does.
Showing up.
The fines tend to increase during election years because there are more reports due during that time.
Let me continue.
Yeah.
Page 32, circuit court. And I may be wrong, but it appears like wages have gone up, probably because of increases. But social security allotment has gone down. Is that correct?
So that will be a double check that I can have Noel look at for me quickly.
Oh, 23 was 73.44. 24 is 89, so it's went up.
No,
It could
it's
be just a
11,700.
simple arithmetic error in the Excel
It's just what I'm
spreadsheet.
wondering is,
It could
it's
just be, it could just be.
usually when wages go up, our share of social security goes up too.
Could just be a simple error. It could be just somebody got missed in a formula. Very well possible. We'll look at that.
What's that?
Social
That's
Security.
101-283-715.000 Social Security.
Yes.
Yeah, the amended budget.
I'm just looking at it. This is 11,701 and 23 and 89,7337 and
Or 24,
yeah. I'm surprised it's that small, but
Can I continue?
yes.
Okay. On page 52, we're talking about Sting.
Okay, hold off for 1 second. Let me get to 52.
52, you said, Rex?
52, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Is Sting part of our budget yet? I mean, does it still come out of our budget? Where does the money from Sting come from?
Wait a minute. You said 52.
What line item,
52,
Rex?
Sting, 52, Sting. It's not a line item on 52. It's a question about how Sting is funded.
So yes, Rex, to answer your question, we do pay for that Sting deputy still out of the general fund. We get a certain amount allocated to us, and probably Under Sheriff Lowe or Sheriff could explain a little bit better. But we do get a certain amount of money through grants that is allocated back to the county, but we do pay for that Sting officer out of the general fund.
So last year when they said they were gonna cut Sting, they did not cut it then, is what you're saying?
No, Sting was removed from that list.
Okay. So
That
we're
was
still have
that
Sting in
board
place.
chose to keep, correct, yes.
Page 55, courthouse security. We're proposing less money this year than 2023.
For the total budget?
Yeah, for the security, yeah.
Yep. So what we actually have for the security budget is the part-time officers only this year that work security, plus just the salary of the courthouse officer deputy themselves. So it is less based on that mix of wages.
And we're good with that then.
We are good with that. There is plenty of coverage from it, and those numbers actually do come directly from Lieutenant Beck as well.
Page 71, total appropriations for Department of Health.
1 second.
71.
Page 71?
That's the one that I was asking about. That there is a formula for that, and that's good for 5 years when they did that.
Yeah, my question is, does that come out of our general budget or is that a way to feed through state money for that purpose?
No, sir, that is directly from our general fund budget.
Page 70?
And that's the same this year,
It's
for this
last
year as it was
year.
last year.
Yes.
It's the same.
Yes, sir.
It stays the same for 5 years.
Correct.
Yes, sir, that's the agreement that came through from the health department board.
And I assume all fees and permit fees and stuff through that department, they go to the state and not us?
They go to, a portion of those would go to the state. I don't know the exact breakdown of it. And then a portion of that stays with district health.
Health.
To help pay for their budget then.
Yes, sir.
Page 70,
Report.
airport. This year, all of a sudden, we're allocating $91,000. And how come?
Which one was that again? I'm sorry. On my end.
Report, Jody.
Page 70.
Yep. So last year for the airport, they were reduced in their actual allocation that we normally have given to them. This year, they do have a planned project and we have to put in 10% of that. I do know that I have 2 commissioners that sit on that airport committee. We have the apron paving that needs to be done. And then there is a smaller project that has to do with the Rosetta mark that's on there.
There was that, basically the rose, the compass rose.
Thank you. Yes.
And more force.
Why do we participate as a county in the airport?
It's county airport.
We own it.
Okay, so we own it. Do we retain revenue from that? I mean,
Revenue.
how much revenue do we get from it?
I don't know.
You'll have to look.
You know what the revenue is? If we're spending 91 grand, we should have some revenue coming in on it.
We don't get that much revenue from the airport, I'll be honest with you.
What I could do, Jody, and what I could do.
It is a total projected, last year it was 198, or for this current year, 198, 484, 45. Basically, the revenue comes from 2 major places, or 3 major places. Gasoline sales. And then additionally, it would come from hangar rentals. And this would all be on your proposed budget somewhere around that same area. We also show income coming in for 2024. That'll be the 80% and 10% match from the federal and the state.
So we do get,
Yeah.
that offset. That
Yes,
gets
we do.
offset.
We do.
It's just not
yeah.
a good expense to us.
Gasoline,
Right.
hangar rent, we have so many hangars, we have so much gas. Depends on which gas. Gas fuel fluctuates.
But what kind of number, just ballpark, what kind of number of revenue, what revenue do we have coming in to offset this? I'm just curious. I'm not trying
I
to.
don't have the
No, that's okay. It's you're looking at roughly like $190,000 in revenue that comes in for
Okay,
the
against 91 expense.
Well, no, I mean, there's a lot more expenses, but we have to appropriate the difference between what they bring in for revenue and what their expenses are. So years ago, well, I can't tell you how many years ago, the airport's been around, has always been a county-owned airport. We have contracted throughout the years for various FAA projects, and those projects have left us in the spot where basically you have made a promise on behalf of future boards and past boards to invest into the airport through accepting grants.
Well, the reason I bring this up,
The fence would be one, the apron would be one, the compass rose would be one, the tarmac would be one. There's the improvement on the airport in the last 20 years has been.
Fencing all the way around it,
The fencing costs millions of dollars.
hangers, we're doing light.
Airport, that's a federal grant thing.
Both, bottom line is we own the airport.
Right.
Lighting.
Well, the reason I'm saying is we're getting squeezed from every direction. And I'm wondering, maybe we need to increase the fees for the hangar fees or the.
We did.
The bottom line is you get to a point where you have so many hangars. Where people, there is a.
But we did, Mark.
There's a sweet spot.
Yeah, we did move the price of the hangars up for rent and stuff.
But the bottom line is we have to make sure that we keep the.
And
I'm just curious what
the revenue, that airport brings into the community, there's the revenue that airport brings in. I know probably 10, 15 hangars where the people from Higgins Lake have cottages on the lake and they fly up and they.
Well, I'm just looking at the bottom line.
Right.
Revenue versus expenses, if they're out, there's have to be made and.
195, 196 will tell you your revenues and your expenses for the airport.
Page 1?
195 and 196.
I can tell you, being on the airport committee with our chairman, it's run very lean, and Jody is extremely meticulous in ensuring above or below. Matter of fact, when we have airport committee, the one person that we fear is Jody. Because she's so meticulous to make sure that we do the right thing. Michelle's over there too.
Yes, she is. What's your next question, Rex?
Page 78, MSU extension. We had nothing for 2023. This year, $1,980 for telephone.
So
Are
I
they
carved
still-
that. Yep.
Are they still gonna use that office?
They are still using that office. We will not have that extension continued. We will continue to have that forester aspect that MSU pays for all of the different counties. So that 1,900 actually was coming out of a different bucket. I was swallowing it because that is their telephone and a copier for them that we pay for.
Page 90. Transfers in and out, indigent defense fund. We're appropriating less money this year than last year.
Page
They-
90.
Yes.
We're comfortable with that?
Yes. So the Indigent Defense Fund, they tell us annually based on the grant that we submit, how much money we have to allocate to it. It's another one of those, we tell you from the state and you pay it numbers, but yes, it is slightly less this year. So that makes me happy because that's less out of the general fund, more out of the state's pocket.
Thank you, Jody.
So that one can fluctuate still.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I think the kicker is on any budget. It's supposedly graded based on the need of that year, requests, state revenues. Always large folks. There can always be a large fluctuation. Generally not, but there can be. Childcare fund, for instance. So from what you have no idea what you're going to pay at the end of the year. Previously, a large majority of your fund balance goes for your payments.
Page 106. Does our secondary road patrol come out of the road patrol's millage? Along with this grant that's coming through?
Is it 106? Secondary road patrol is the grant, and then we pick up the other portion through the 207 special fund. That has been one thing that the millage has picked up for us through the years. So the difference between A and B, yes, is picked up through the 207 road patrol millage.
And then on 108, I see we took in donations for the Higgins Lake Patrol.
Page.
Page 108. That's the only way that stood, survived this year.
Is
Yep,
is
those-
that for like boat patrol?
Yes.
That is specific to having Marine Patrol on Higgins Lake. Yes, sir. That was a approach to the sheriff from, I believe, the Higgins Lake Foundation and potentially a portion of that from the Higgins Lake Property Owners Association as well.
Okay, so it, I just didn't know where it came from. Oh, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Page 134, 911 dispatch, estimated revenues. We're estimating revenues to be down for 2024, is that correct?
Their total collection for their tax, for their millage fund will be up, but their overall revenues are decreased. They do have a portion of those revenues that come in through the state overall for that fund, based on fees that they collect for cellular services, regular telephones. Of course, regular telephones carried a lot of that fees, and as you know, people don't really do those anymore. The additional point is there were some fees that came in just via information, FOIA request types of things, and those have not been as high as we had hoped.
And then page 139, 911 again. Are we spending more money than the millage for 911 brings in? Is that what that's telling me?
No, that's not what that's telling you. So part of what we do for 911, and I'm catching up to you on pages, so give me just a second. Part of what 911 spends, they actually have a large fund balance from the training money that comes in from the state. So they do actually have to spend down on that, or we're going to have to turn around and give it back out of that fund. So they do have a fund balance of about $1 million total. Portion of that is training that can only be spent towards training. And the other portion of that is where they're saving for capital expenditures.
So in other words, this is not coming out of the general fund.
Correct.
No.
It is not.
Then on page 137, again, 911, total appropriations, 13,000. That's out of their millage budget, correct?
Let me just double check.
That's the conference, the travel and stuff like that.
Yes,
The
so the
training
conference,
course.
yep, the conference and the travel. Will you read me the line, please? And then I'll make sure I'm.
Page 137.
261-342-725.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're
See what I meant.
261-342-962.
Okay.
This is what we do.
Amen.
Page number don't mean nothing.
Let me find your 13. Read it one more time to me, Noelle. I'm sorry. There it
That's
is.
okay.
13,000. All right, 546, right? So the state training surcharge fund, that's money that comes to the state, specifically to 911.
261-342.
342.
The state training fund.
Yep, that is just money that comes specifically to 911 for straight training and specific usage. And then it's offset on the other page. So they have a fund.
It's just channeled through our general fund then.
Just channeled through the 207, not even channeled through the general fund. Yep, everything that's expended for 911 is in the fund 261.
That's just all the clarifications I needed.
Darlene.
And I have an answer for the question I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
I do have an answer for the question about the Social Security. So last year, Noelle, I did Social Security for the judge's salary that we have to pay a portion of that we actually don't pay Social Security on. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay. That's right. Yeah, we don't pay Social Security for judge wages. They are exempt from Social Security and Medicare. But so last year that was budgeted in, and that's why it looked like it was higher last year. And that's why it's so much lower this year, is because
So we
it's
didn't
not
have to pay it
included
on
in-
them.
So yes, so it's not necessarily higher. It wasn't higher. It was technically just budgeted higher last year. So it is correct.
Eric.
I just had that one question, but I'm sure I can find a bunch, but based on the situation, I certainly don't feel it's appropriate to tie Jody up at this time.
Mark?
If you have some.
I do want to know more about the airport though, and Mark said he'd work with
Yeah,
me.
and I could enlighten you later too on that.
Please email me if you have any though, because I will be happy.
I mean, I'm not an accountant. My wife is. My wife's a CPA. She can help me out a lot. But, I'm not. You guys are. You know the numbers like the back of your hand. So
I wish I was an accountant. I'm not, but I do know a lot.
Okay, review of motions, number 6. And review of process for adopting an annual budget, number 7.
So you all should have received a draft copy of proposed 2024 budget motions. And what happens is the motions obviously would need to be approved before that final budget can be presented. And this includes everything you have talked about to date. So what I would like to do is make sure that you've had a chance to review them. B, these will be up for vote at your next meeting.
These will
So
be up to review them,
approve.
and these will be up for vote at the next meeting.
Yes.
All of these, yes. A through M.
Ask questions.
You can ask
Could
questions.
ask questions.
Absolutely.
There, just so people, I'm not gonna be here, I have a scheduled trip, however, I am in total and complete agreement with the motions presented at this time.
Thank you.
I'm not dipping out because I'm afraid of the budget, I just want to make sure people realize I'm gonna be out of the country, but I am totally in support of the motions presented to me at this time. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
How come certain items are requiring a motion to be in the budget?
I didn't hear you, Rex.
How come certain items are requiring a motion to be in the budget when they're already in the approved budget?
So
We
some
have
of
to
these,
approve the budget.
yeah,
Go ahead, Jody.
I'm assuming he's talking to like the appropriations that are in the budget. Those
Yes.
motions are. So a lot of those motions for the appropriations have been left out because through the years, we have commissioners or other people that have wondered, like, were you not aware? Did you not know? Those are singled out because they're larger dollar amounts. And we want to make sure that that's very transparent, that is where that money goes, so that the public is aware of exactly what is happening.
For transparency.
So it's
The
pointing out
public is
some of
aware.
the high dollar items
Correct.
Case in point, number L.
instead of just a
No.
blanket,
Shelter fund.
instead of just a blanket
Correct.
approach that we approved this proposed budget. We're just picking out some,
Mhm.
when in reality, we already did in the others anyway.
Correct.
Good.
All of these are everything that we have discussed today as far as the health insurance, the cost of living for everybody, and then all of the appropriations as she just discussed. And then the very last one, M, is our annual resolution that we have to adopt for the publicly funded health insurance contribution Act resolution for 2024. We must adopt this every year, so then that way we can remain below. That way we can continue our health insurance with the cap levels with the state, and that way we can exempt ourselves from PA 152 for the next year. Sorry, I mumbled there for a second.
One question on the budget.
Yes.
Earlier today, we talked like appropriating some money for a survey on Higgins Lake. We also talked about trying to get a private donation for such. If we have to resort to the getting it out of the county, is there room in the budget to supply that?
Not if we're not getting paid back. I could answer that for you. Or go ahead, Jody.
So the way that,
If the 6,000, if we didn't get county funds, do we have an extra $6,000 to take out of our budget to pay to fund that without getting any return? I told Rex no.
But
That doesn't mean
that's
we
gonna
can't
come
go
up for
forward.
a
We have
vote.
to go forward with it as a county.
Right.
That's gonna
And
come
we
up
have
for
to,
a
we
vote.
have to get the.
Yeah, but let's do it then when we could get the funds back.
But it's already scheduled to come up in 2 weeks.
You can't wait until you get the funds back.
I mean, I'm just wondering how that's gonna affect the budget, Jody, if that happens.
sure. So
I
you
wanna,
can
I wanna add,
do, go ahead, sir.
Jody, talk.
okay, I'm just gonna say, we spent $150,000 already on the Higgins Lake project, and you're saying we can't spend another $6,000? You don't know how you're gonna get it back? Of course we can. We've got to, this has been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. We leave ourselves more and more wide open for potential liability.
So why X for,
What?
the public, why X for the public?
So the project can get speeded up if it can.
For expediency. I'm still waiting for an answer for how it's affected budget. Jody's the only one that can answer.
Right, okay, sorry, Jody, go ahead.
That's okay. So it's twofold depending on what you choose to do. Obviously, if you're going to do this project this year, and want to spend 6,000 this year, we are going to have a decision by the Board of Commissioners about where you would like to have that allocated to. You will take that 6,000, I'm assuming, directly from the contingency fund, which there's about 14,000 left in. But then subtract 6,000 from the general fund prediction for the year-end fund balance, because that'll be 6,000 short, basically. Because that's included in that prediction as well. You can, if this is something that was expended at the beginning of 2024, not really knowing, but listening to you a little, I left myself for you a little wiggle room in the general fund of about $40,000. We could allocate an additional 6,000 of that to Higgins Lake level control structure, because they all have the 10 right now. Half of that goes specifically to the USGS for gauge monitoring, surveying of the gauge annually, etc.
So you're saying it would affect our fund balance, basically?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
That is
because
correct.
we don't have a line item in there.
Yeah, that for
That's what I'm
2023
trying
we
to
do
say
not.
is,
It's gonna be able to get funded, we just don't know
right,
where.
we just don't have a line item.
Without amending the budget again.
The line item could be the $10,000 per year allocation for all the lake level control structures, because you're supposed to be able to allocate 10 grand a year.
Well, half of that money's already spent every year, Eric, Commissioner Ostergen. That's the one thing I want to make sure you know. So half of that
means
goes to the
$5 grand,
monitoring.
then we gotta worry about $1,000.
Yeah, so. But yeah, that could come out of the line item for next year. Yes, sir, that's what I was saying.
That's it.
Anybody else? You have your homework to do in the next 2 weeks. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. If you have questions, at least Jody said we could email the questions to her. Get a hold of Noel, Julie, or give me a call, and if I know, I'll be more than happy to answer it.
Something I missed this morning, the committee reports don't take 2 seconds, and as I'm supposed to report on the lake levels. Higgins is 6.72 below, Houghton is 1.08 above, and Lake St. Helens is 1.08 above the legal levels. Sorry about that, I didn't get that this morning.
Not a problem.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Did the work and didn't report, I had enough else to report.
But anyone have any questions? And Jody, thank you very much for allowing us to email you, and you take care of yourself like I told you.
I just want to make sure, so where we're at right now with the budget is the public hearing has been posted and is scheduled for your next board meeting. After the public hearing, you'll have the motions. You can choose to table those if there's something that came up that you want to change for the proposed budget. But the budget is approved at that last November meeting, so it's done by the 30th. We give that 2 weeks, so if there is public input that you would like to take into consideration, you have that timeline to do so.
I'll be here for that.
What did you have?
Well, that was just.
Okay. Number 7, review a process for, and she just displayed that, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, number 7, public comment. Yes. Yeah, you can sit next to Noel.
Come on in.
I've been waiting for this for a while.
I'm a witness.
Mike's on. I guess just
state your name, please.
Jim O'Rourke, just a citizen. I guess the question that I have is, your expected fund balance at the end of the year is below your 15%? Correct. Okay, so the new budget that you're about to present, is that account for you to get back up to your 15%?
She's shy. What was that total, Jody?
Almost 14 point something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going up.
88%.
Yep.
Sorry.
You will end up being at
0.88%.
8%.
Yeah, we're shy, shy 0.80. 14.2%. About $90,000.
$90,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 90,000.
But
And-
if you look at the bottom,
That looks healthy.
okay.
We okay? We're. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so $91,000 short in the proposed budget for next year to get up to the 15% that previous boards have set as a goal.
As a
Not
goal.
mandated
Correct.
as a goal.
Yep.
But also included in that, you said that you can afford to give a 3% wage increase, cost of living wage increase to your non-union people. How many dollars does that involve? Just for a
Honestly,
total
that was-
rough number.
This is
Yeah.
public comment. This isn't a question and answer session. That's the
We
problem.
can't talk to you, Tim, you know that.
Okay. Well, I'd like to be on your schedule as a visitor next time so that I can
Okay.
discuss and ask questions and get answers.
Yep. That or you could
For the
email
public
them.
anyways, but I can
Yep.
send over a message for sure.
Yes, please do
It
that.
seemed like at a previous meeting, we were talking about a 1% increase for your staff was $70,000 or something like that. I just
As a
trying to
sheriff's.
pull numbers
As a
out.
sheriff's.
Okay,
But again, this isn't a,
I got you. And then you're also approving a 1% increase for the sheriff's department or your union, all your union staff. But does that include another 1% out of the sheriff's budget? Because at a previous meeting, we were talking about the sheriff. coming
Can't
in.
answer you.
I'm asking.
get
listen,
together with me and Ben Lowe after the meet, because we.
I'm asking rhetorical questions for the public. You've made a statement in your budget that you're increasing, that the budget will include a 3% increase to your non-union staff, a 1% increase to your union staff. And then at a previous meeting, the sheriff's department proposed that they would come up with an additional 1% to your union staff on top of the 1% budgeted. That's what was said at the public meeting. That's all I'm trying to say, is that your union staff will end up, your sheriff's union staff will get a 2% increase, 1% out of the sheriff's budget, general budget, 1% approved by you if you move forward. Shake your head all you want. That's exactly what's going to happen. And then in the future, if the sheriff can't come up with a 1% out of their budget, their general budget, because their general budget increases, can't afford it, you're going to be stuck for life with a 2% increase. That's all I'm trying to say. And you're saying that you're not going to meet your budgeted amount that previous boards have set at 15%. You're going to come up $90,000 short. I'm trying to remedy that for the public. How does the public take that you're prepared to give increases, but you can't afford to give them because you're not going to meet your 15% general fund budget, which is there for a reason? Because bad things happen. You've seen that in the past with your child care numbers that come in. You've already projected that you're going to have a problem getting money out of the judge's part of this. That budget is going to be short because fines aren't going to be there because you're not going to collect them. All I'm saying is, as a member of the public, how does this all reconcile itself? Is what you've just said today. And you have 2 weeks to reconcile that, I think, in the mind of the public. What are you going to move forward to do? You're talking about a budget and you're asking questions about individual placement in the budget. But the bigger question for the public is, how do you afford to run the county, not meet your goals, and still move forward with increases to your staff? Everybody approves that. They sat up and said, yeah, we need to treat our staff correctly. We need to do the right thing. We're 10% behind. I think Jody had said when the committee met, they were 10% behind the other counties. But you can only afford what you have to be able to afford. So if you're going to take money out of your general budget every year, your fund balance every year to cover those kind of costs, then there you are. But remember that these have legacy costs forever. You said you're going to pay extra for healthcare. So.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yes. Any other public comment?
Tim, I'll get together with you and Ben at the end.
During public comment on Zoom.
Yes, you have questions? those into one email to Jody so she's not hopping back and forth. And give us time.
Thank you. Number 8, adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.